It happens that IT, information security market, becomes more and more attractive from different sides, from the point of view of the employer market, from the point of view of investors market as well. And COVID was a catalyzer of the IT information security market. And right now, I would like to invite guests to the studio to discuss how does the IT market looks today, both from the global perspective and from the point of view of Russian perspective. I would like to invite Yury Maximov, CEO of Positive Technologies, which is going to have two guests in the studio.
Володя, привет. Меня слышно?
Can you hear me? Yura, I can hear you, but I cannot see you. Right now, while the picture is getting connected, I will announce our guests. Yury is online. Yes, I can see. Vladimir, hello. Everybody's hello. Today we're going to talk about how can we earn money on high-tech, IT, and information security. And not just how to earn money in a wide sense of this term, not only to those who own the businesses and companies, but to simple people as well. And we will try to clear out this situation whether the area of investments, business, and means which the industry can develop. I would like to introduce our guests, which should not be introduced, but nevertheless, our first guest is Alexander. He is Sasha Galitsky. He's a well-known Russian entrepreneur, and also he's an investor, a person who, in the West, is perceived as his own. He has organized the Elvis Plus company. After this, he made a venture fund, mass capital partners, if I'm not mistaken, and it had a lot of funds connected together. Money were invested. Western companies, well-respected companies. So Sasha knows the first hand how this world is operated. So welcome, Sasha, to our story. Have you got connected? Yes, I've got connected. Hello, everybody. I hope you can see me. Yes, thank you, Sasha. And our second guest is Sergey Matsotsky, co-founder of IBS company and its daughter, Luftsoft company, subsidiary. Today, Sergey is the representative of Ruby Tech company. It's a new company on the Russian market, and he's going to tell you about it in more detail. Today, Sergey is in the role of not just an entrepreneur and successful businessman and a person who understands the Russian IT world and Western and also investors. So, Sergey, again, let's see. This is a complex topic today. We speak about money, we speak about the development, and it seems what is the connection between those? Money are needed to develop the industry, and when industry is being developed, money are coming, but nevertheless, we can state the fact that right now in Russia and in the world globally, we have a lot of serious shifts in the IT industry and cybersecurity in particular. Speaking about Russia, we can look at the facts. Right now in the country, we have such a support of IT industry which we haven't seen in the previous years. Tax maneuvers related with IT industry, legislative benefits, etc. The Prime Minister collects the IT hangout, he talks to them, Vice Prime Minister meets with them constantly. They have some committees for the involvement of business people in these stories. And obviously we see something global happening. Well, personally, previously I've been calling to Sasha and I was saying, Sasha, let's meet tomorrow. He's saying, well, I cannot meet together because tomorrow I have the meeting with Eric Schmidt. And today I'm calling him and he says, well, today I have a meeting with the Prime Minister or Vice Prime Minister. minister. It seems that Sasha's eyes were much happier previously than now. And Sergey, yesterday, Sergey, entrepreneur, the manager of big integrational company, and today Sergey is an investor. Yesterday he was managing company, today he is buying IT startups and not just startups. So this is the story which is happening, and let's say if the yesterday's idea of the systematic approach and thinking about IT industry was the fact that with state participation or public organizations were involved in these like Sberbank, Rostelecom, and we see that today more and more private players are becoming this factor which influences the IT landscape market. So I would like to speak about that. How can we look at this issue, not just through the prism of how to earn the money, but from what is really happening in the country? Are these new opportunities, and how we, regular people who are not going to meetings with Prime Minister, can learn how to earn money on this? Let's speak about that. And the first question for the warm-up: how the high-tech investments are looking today, globally and in Russia being more particular. So, Sasha, let's begin with you, please. Well, high-tech investments, I can speak about it more globally. My eyes may be a little bit more sad because I'm involved in both of them. Maybe some new things have been added in Russian Federation. This is an additional load because money are flowing during the long extended period of time, and there's a big time difference between countries, and I have to work in many fronts, in many directions. From the investment point of view, we can look at it differently, but generally they are growing. They are growing, but they are more selective, because it's understandable that pandemics have brought several challenges, very specific challenges. Some processes are moving much faster, some other processes. People understand that such lockdown might happen not only due to the COVID, but some other stories might happen. And everybody's living in a more shorter periods of time. So if we look at it generally, investments are growing. They're growing everywhere. They are growing in the US, and as we can see, they are growing in China. There is a movement that $1.5 trillion have been developed for the development of the artificial intelligence and electronics in the country, and these are the money that will be spent for these investments. And while it's being done in China, in Russia it's hard to say that there is a growth from the side of investments. If you look at the parameters, there is a certain interest to this area. Whether it's right or not right, it's a question, but there is an interest that, well, it's clear that this industry, first of all, the IT industry, and I'm not separating the information security from other industries, because it's the part of the traditional industry and it transforms it. It's not just a question of transformation of state public institutes, but it's a question of transformation of the class of industries from the point of view of their optimization, transition to the new operations. And this part, a lot of attention is being paid to it. It's hard to say that it has finished, because the main problem, as it seems, we are not just investing as Almas in Russia, but we're following what's happening in the country. There are no end-to-end projects which would build these global challenges, and there are no these end-to-end projects here in those innovative institutions of development. There is no layer from Web to Bortnik Foundation and vice versa. Through all the problems, all the institutions are working separately. So this is a general condition of the market. Maybe it will be developed on, but this is my comment. Okay, thank you very much, Sasha. Sergey, the floor is yours. You see, I cannot consider myself as an investor or classical investors. I don't have venture investment experience. And you know, I precisely know that I don't know how to do that. I do have some investments into some funds which do it professionally, like Sasha, for example. So from this point of view, I think that there are not many things that I can tell you about. But coming back to Russia, I would like to say that in Russia, there are several good things and several bad things. Good things are that Russia, from the point of view of digitalization, is quickly moving in the most advanced countries of the world. I think that our financial system will leave behind most of the financial systems or banks in America and Europe, because the level of quality that we have used to, the mobility, interactivity, this is top-notch. This is something that maybe only China is ahead of us. Europeans and Americans definitely are too far behind us. So I think that the quality of state public services which are available in our country, and I think that it has facilitated the movement in this direction, and this is something that I haven't seen in most of the most developed countries. And this is cool. It gives a certain threshold, and it pulls the demand behind it, because this demand for fundamental, big public institutions or private institutions and market demand on the level of, let's say, even the salons, it's required to have a site, to have an online queue. I don't remember when it was the last time when I was dialing in my phone any service. I did it everything through the messengers in my country. So from this point of view, this is a great change. What limits our possibilities is the fact that we don't have normal stock market. And it limits the possibilities for investments because it's not clear how to make an exit. I don't believe in the nearest time in the IPOs because there's no big number of private investors. We don't see this developed culture of investments. Speaking about some big market public growth. And this is perhaps something that holds us. Thank you very much, Sergey. Can you tell me, please, continuing the topic that you have just raised, if relatively we're going to separate two possible ways of the development of the IT market in the country, when some IT segment or sub-industry is being inbuilt in the global IT industry and basically speaking follows it. They define some trends, rules, analytics, and basically speaking, we can make a product or a family of products on the basis of those rules, and relatively another way of development when in some separate segment, I don't know, microelectronics, IT security, cloud enterprise technology, we make a complex solution in a certain region which can form the solution for the market on the basis of its own rules, and then possibly copy it. You just have mentioned that in some areas we can become leaders. So I have the following question in relation to that. How do you feel which industries of Russian IT can pretend to take place among top leaders? Top equals or leaders? Sergey. Well, I think that in the area of state-based digitalization, it's a very specific area. This is not just programming, this is realistically big global projects which allow us to do very breakthrough stories of a global scale, on a scale of hundreds of millions of people, their interrelations, and their services, centralized services. And these are platforms which can allow us to get a big breakthrough. I think that from this point of view, these can be a next wave for all of us, and for Mail or Yandex, when they make platforms of services which are ahead of global ones and not just catching up. And I think from this point of view, we have a lot of opportunities. And from this point of view, this will give a big impulse for technologies like big data, artificial intelligence, and other technologies. And of course, our traditional programming, inquisitivity and ability, I think if we will combine it with good organization of a proper agile, then from this point of view, we will be able to look beautifully on the market. Our weak point is marketing. We don't know how to create products, complete turnkey products, and understand how to bring them to the global markets. This is the most difficult story, and we wanted to overcome it. But unfortunately, those few examples that we know, or successful examples, they prove more are being behind in this part. Sergey, let's see, it's very interesting from this point of view. We have Yandex, we have Mail.ru, we have ICQ, we have a lot of cloud services. But if you will look at the fact what companies are using, they're using Zoom, they're using Google, they're using other cloud services. But those who don't use American companies, for example, here in Russia, they are moving to some private clouds. No, it's not like that. Let's look at the company Mira from Perm. Yes, it's a global leader, I think. Yes, they are. This is back to the question, and I would tell you about this example as well. Okay. But nevertheless, let's see. We are storing files. There is a total movement into the cloud, and we store it somewhere in American cloud. And tomorrow, some policy comes and says if it has a document with Cyrillics or it has some VAT-related text, it doesn't pass the policies, and it's been blocked. That's one side of the matter. And these private clouds, which are being published by the public companies without competencies of providing proper level of security, this private cloud and the security becomes even lower. So my question, how can we achieve this situation so that we wouldn't just have products, but our industry would use local market products? You see, I think this is a good question, and it's very complementary to import substitution. Of course, we can spend a lot of efforts and money and time to import substitute anything, but I don't believe in such results. And we can try to invent how in the ClickHouse or Postgre make products or platforms of the next generation so that Oracle wouldn't be even needed. So I think that from this point of view, the main thing is not try to make big steps and compete head-to-head, but we have to be clever. We should do things where we have some advantages and where we can achieve faster results, and things where we really need it, just because this truthfully is some basic story related with security. So due to such an approach, which is very opportunistic. Sasha, can you tell me, please, if we will try to dream and if the stars will come in the best way, in which IT segments we do have a chance of taking place amongst leaders? I know that you love microelectronics. Are we going to have our own computers or not? Let's see. It's not a question about some sector of IT or something is growing. Well, I'm on the side of things, new and revolutionary things being born with some big challenges. So we had to send a person to the outer space, and we had an industry and we had a lot of technological solutions which made us leader for a certain period of time in many directions. Because we can remember the space station, which was not completed, but nevertheless, things which are related to nuclear energy sector, and this has moved us, and this is also related to the IT. Things which are called with different words, but this is all related to the IT. So if we just simply say that let's invent something to surprise the world, no, there should be a challenge or some guessing of such idea that, well, if this business came from the idea of selling books, but the problems that it has been facing, it has brought a big number of cloud solutions which were done by Amazon and brought some other things. Things are not being developed on a scratch. So the first question is that, well, we can build proper chains. Can we inbuild into certain value-added chain? Some things, like speaking about some Russian things are being used even in iPhone, some maybe materials or some developments or whatever. But the question about to achieving some victory, we need to have a challenge. For example, if we make a road that in 10, 12 days we could ride from China to Moscow compared to the... That's a challenge. That's a challenge. It's understandable. But if we do something like that, we can solve a problem not only for ourselves, but a problem of many other things, and we will be demanded on our market. This is related to the databases and all other things. So if we are looking on system projects from this side, then we will come up with those things. Because I was always saying that the silicon market force is knowing the trends. Let's look at the Intel. Intel is squeezing because it was living around the problem of development of biggest platforms, and they are deflating right now because the graphics which was done by NVIDIA, they were ready for new challenges by graphical processing. It's a parallel, and we see a full number of things which nobody was thinking about, but it worked. It worked. But everything comes from the top-level objective. It wouldn't have an objective for, let's say, blockchain, if we wouldn't have problems related with artificial intelligence, on which we have to calculate something, train people, NVIDIA wouldn't fly like it did. But we see that it doesn't have general purposes processors, so they buy ARMs and they try to build a story on properly or improperly. We don't know that. Can we do something in Russia? Yes, we can. So we can move in an incremental way, but from the point of view of trusting, well, the trust is shaken down, and we can tune realistically your security and building. This is a very long way that we have ahead of us. And the second story and real challenges which could be repeated in different places where it's happening. So those things where we are going to have games. And right now we have the transformation of traditional industries where we understand something. We have accumulated the experience, problems, objectives, challenges, and things that we have to do. So this part can be a chance, whatever we can have. Speaking about microelectronics, it's not just like a fun. This is a part that we've been doing while kids. I had a department which right now called is NPCL. And it does very good microchips, even though I don't have any relation to these as a person. But this is a school. This is a school. In Russia, we have people which can design very good things. And some complicated process could be designed only by Russia and America back in time. But today, developers are available, but we don't have factories. And maybe we're not going to have those factories which will manufacture something. But the same NVIDIA, the same Qualcomm doesn't have their manufacturing. They are manufacturing everything at the Taiwan. But those people, they develop things which they know and feel, but they need systematic requests. And when we build in a country AI program built on NVIDIA, well, this is a solution. Yes, we'll write something, some programs, one and second. But if we're going to build something for our own challenge, then the story can change somehow, and we can propose the world something new, artificial age or something like that, or in some other directions, which are going to be demanded in the world. And there are ideas how many of those chips we do need, for example, for the edge, 200, 300 million of those edge. And these are the volumes which can bring us somewhere. If you even take 30, 40%, they can make us leaders. If you add some software on the top of these, and this is the story that we have to seriously analyze. Well, you speak about the challenges, but where are the challenges? How do they sound like? And amongst those challenges, do we have our domestic CPUs and processors which are going to be used for our domestic computers, which are going to take 90% of the market, of the desktops of facilities and commercial companies? Do we have any chance for being like that, or we should be focused on some more breakthrough, narrow areas and win in them? Will we be able to catch in some systematic, important things the world, or will not be able to catch up with them? Well, the world, no matter what we say, everything moves in spirals, and this spiral, including technological spiral, is like that. There are universal CPU, special CPUs added to these. Then right now everything is being put into one chip. Everybody then understands that it has achieved its limits. So we are trying to improve the software. Therefore, there is a spiral movement. But the question that you've been asking, and Sergey, which, well, he has the appliance idea, appliance related, and on the basis of the chips, for example, if you will take Baikal. Baikal, what is Baikal? Baikal is an ARM. 8-core ARM, very good CPU on which we can have a lot of operational systems. So the question is, well, let's make an idea, let's make a special appliance on it that will become special, which I can sell not only in Russia but everywhere else. And we'll make one step and we'll overtake the market, you will make the next step. And that's how the company is moving. They don't move in any other way. And I'll make an example of Nutanix, because Nutanix, what is it? It's a virtual memory, virtual storage. Everything is being done on Intel boards, motherboards, and this company earns billions. The next step of NetAppliance will be even more serious, because right now you start saturate the market, you start earning the clients, you can add complementary things, and therefore you can grow in some sector, or you can grow vertically, or without these steps, nothing will happen. Therefore, we can speak, well, I'm writing software, for example, on the Intel CPUs, or I'm writing in some power whatever. Another thing, well, I'm writing on a soft that is available and inbuilt in the integration, not only technological chain up down. Yes, that's a step that has to be made, and due to the fact that the state plays all the roles of the industry, well, it's clear that the state has to be the driving force in this story, so that private people would believe that they have the market, they can invest money and could earn money, because money are available in Russia, but they are used for other stock markets, because it's much funnier and much interesting in those stock markets. Well, thank you very much, Sasha. So which support is needed from the side of the state and from the side of those physical entities? Because you are saying very right things, that step by step, CPUs or appliances or the software, maybe there is a lot of foreign elements, and it doesn't work very good. So no matter how the state would try to support all this story, this is a way of suffering. And who suffers? Regular people will suffer, because they will use it. How can we get support not only from the state, and how it can be got, but also the support of physical entities, people? We cannot do it on the simple patriotism. Patriotism is not going to work here. Well, we're not speaking about patriotism. We are speaking about a certain story related with you making proper steps, not just by making everybody working on some shitty processors, shitty CPU. You don't have to make anybody do anything. You should give people opportunity to follow the market story. I always make an example of Silicon Valley in 1970s. It's 2-3 billions of state investments into the Silicon Valley and 100 millions of private investors. Before private investors will believe that this is operable story, only in the year 2008 they had 32 billions. Right now 65 billions are invested into Silicon Valley by private people, private funds, private private angels and all together. And from the point of view of the question of the trust, which has to be overcome, if this is not going to be happening, then it's playing in an empty gate, because how we can develop those markets that Sergey was speaking about. Every market is being developed by understanding how the employees are working, how the HR market is working. We should open an opportunity of working with different specialists, different people. We want to invite people from other countries or maybe train our own, because we cannot spend 20, 30 years to educate new specialists or train them, or bring them up. Look at the politics of the same Samsung. Samsung has introduced definite English language instead of Korean, because they started pooling employees. They need international employees with international experience, engineering and marketing and vision, and to make certain breakthroughs. And for this, you need to create certain conditions so that people would have a desire to come here. But yes, I've been saying that we should create certain regulations so that people that cannot realize themselves in some countries where regulation is too old, they could go to the country, dream country, where this is available. Yury, if possible, I would like to add to this. Yes, please, Sergey. You know, maybe we were not lucky about the stock exchange market, but basically we were lucky about the consumers. Our consumers, they are not bad. The number of advanced smartphones which are being sold in our country, or the number of the consumers of those advanced services that we have a lot of them. And banks are building this business, Yandex and Email and others are building their business on that. So our consumers are much more advanced than consumers in many other countries of the world. Perhaps we should learn to satisfy these highly demanding consumers and not trying to squeeze money out of them. Yes, we will get money from them, but if we provide good quality products and services instead of getting money from us investors. So I think in order to get money from them as investors, a certain period of time should pass, a certain maturity of people should happen, of the society, about the good side of the capitalistic idea of proper money investments, creating capitals. But as consumers, they already are mature, and I think this is also very important. So it happens, only a small thing is left, because we don't have those decades of years to realize some industries, because we have a unique window of opportunities. Even right now, we have a big number of Russian-speaking specialists globally who know about all the industries, microelectronics, I don't know, development of the software, business systems, whatever. So right now we have this opportunity to attract cultural people to solve these objectives. And it's not necessary to bring them in Russia, open subsidiary of some Yandex in the United States, of the same Baikal. Well, I would agree. We are not working with our diasporas and Russian-speaking communities globally. And this is a question, it's up-down or down-up question, bottom-up. Because I've been listening to, I think this morning when I've been running to the work, I've been listening to dialogue between Guriev with, let me remember, a guy from Carnegie. He's a China specialist, and they've been speaking about how the embassies are working, who goes to the embassies, and do they want to be associated with Russia. And this is a very important story here. And it would be really good to cultivate this story. And we need those people. We need their loyalty. And from this point of view, I think this multi-profile, multi-variant exchange and communication with those people, they could help us. Sorry? Sorry, I've stopped you. Continue. But I'm coming back to my initial idea, and I would like to say that we have got carried away by startups in the venture meaning of those startups. Maybe Russia, from this point of view, is not really good to using these 30 golden coins, because the market is not really big, the market is not really mature, and from this point of view, the startups can grow from these 5 coins. But Russia is really good from the point of view of classical market, where we can do very good products, good services, and good projects, and we can earn good money on it and develop on it. And this could be a more traditional story, like outer space, and Sasha was telling us about it, and it gives us some challenges. For example, we have a challenge that we need to transfer big number of governmental services to online services, and we did it. And we did it good. And the way how we did it, I think that right now we have a wonderful opportunity of making a breakthrough in healthcare system, and I do hope that these pandemics will play a proper role in the optimization of processes and organization of the healthcare in total, not only in Moscow but all over Russia. I think this could be a very big impulse. Back in time, I was really shocked when I was told about which educational project is the most successful. It was liquidation of lack of education during the 1918. It was a totalitarian, centralized system. It has permitted us as a conductor to make very powerful breakthroughs. So I really want to believe that in the area of not just military, and not military at all, but in the area of healthcare and education, we would have those breakthroughs. The only thing is that there are things which are subject to local regulation, and this is a problem for a number of those projects. And when somebody is dropping out of the system, these dropouts can be used, because it's going to be difficult to transfer the whole system under the state control. And in the fintech, they have a problem of regulation in Europe and America, Russia and Europe in the medicine. The same problem happens with education. And Sergey is right about this particular direction where and pandemics gives us certain pulses for quantum leaps, and we can have a quantum leap in many areas. And I think that some things which were made for social provision of the country, they can be adopted by many other countries from Russia with the proper positioning thereof. My apologies, but I would like to add that pandemic has played an interesting role, and I think this story was under-evaluated by now on the level of how the companies, global companies, are looking at supply chain, because I think that globalization, when the supply chain was distributed in big number of countries and continents, and risks related to it were also overestimated right now. So I think this will give a great push to create a more local and more shorter demands for the production of some things, and this will give also an interesting turbo boost for local production facilities. Okay, let's go back to money. Sasha, I know that in your recent third foundation, you have direct prohibition from investors and money holders to invest into Russian companies. Is that true? Yes, it is, because some of them are social investors which require, and these are the rules of the game. Well, how much time you've spent in Russia? Will you open? I cannot tell you how much time I've spent in Russia, because I'm a foreign resident. I'm not a Russian resident. So this information I will not disclose to you. Okay. Well, this is back to the question about informational security, but will you open Russian funds with Russian money? No, you see, it's the question not about the Russian money. There are money that people will have a desire to invest into Russia, and there are things which there are countries that want to invest, and they believe in some technological advancements in Russian Federation. However, I can tell you that I was almost ready for this, but after the top manager of a Russian venture company was arrested, I started fearful to take money from Russian venture company. as one of the LPs, it immediately destroys the interest or anything. I see opportunities. I see opportunities which are opening in front of us here, and a lot of possibilities of getting through them. And there's a lot of things which can be done right now. And Sergey does right things like a private person. He purchases or merges, because he's right. You can build companies on the principle of bringing them from the scratch, or you can build companies on the principle of creating them, merging them, and then you get something beneficial from merging them. And there's a lot of opportunities right now on the Russian market with orientation to Russia for export and do something else like that. But I'm thinking, I'm looking, and there is a second problem. In all the developing markets, not in the countries, but developing markets, in certain direction, it's the absence of the specialists. And this is a story which requires time, and this is clear that some venture specialists, well, it requires a lot of time when you need to bring somebody up. And this direction of building proper teams, this is another problem which exists, because I've sent a lot of my people to work outside of the country, and right now I need to get a new team in the country. And this is the part which is not easy to do, because you have to have a big funnel to see those people through. Return those that have been educated, they do speak Russian, but they stayed in those countries and they're successful there. I've left one person there, but I decided let him stay here. Tell me, please, Sasha. Okay, let's see. You have a reputation, and if you will look at our IRR and some profitability of your funds, it's very high. People bring you money and you multiply them. Haven't you been thinking of taking money of physical entities? For example, I'm a physical entity. I'm ready to give you money because I understand that you, in the end run, from my experience, yes, Sergey gives me money. He trusted some of his funds as a physical entity. Yes. Okay, guys, we're being listened by 7,000 people yesterday. Today, we're being listened by many people. It's a Russian IT, information security, listening to you. How can I give you money in order to earn, let's say, 70% annual? I'm joking. About 70%. 70%, this is too good. But the story is, how can you give him the money? Well, the funds are created in a very simple way. If you have legal money, if you don't have gray or black money, then you make QIC procedure and you can participate not only in my fund, but in any other fund that you will desire. And those who want to take your money. Yes, I'm studying Russian story because legislation is changing and you have to do it properly. You have to take this money properly because money are not being taken. You don't want to give all your money that you have accumulated. It's a simple story. You can make an IT fund. You can make a story like that, and funds created by entrepreneurs can be very successful because they are a link which helps those funds to grow on the basis of many things. So the idea of creating a fund of entrepreneurs in the IT to make the IT fund is a very wise and proper idea. Sergey, I have a brief question to you. What should be the company so that you would be interested to invest your money into it? I know that you invest money, you invest them in Russian companies in IT security. Who should the company be in order for you to be able to invest your money? For me, this is very important. I'm not a professional investor, and from this point of view, I think that what I am interested in, I give money to professional investors or I invest myself. First of all, I've been investing into ideas that I believe in, teams that I believe in. And from this point of view, if a person has a good idea, This idea should be alongside with what I'm interested in and what I am doing. And if I have the possibility of being a smart strategist, not just give them money, but give them impulse for growth and development. This is something I'm interested in. And I think this could be a very good direction, both for the company and for me, because there is a big number of companies which don't have a scale. These companies have wonderful products, they have wonderful ideas, they have good possibilities, but they need some turbo booster, which would allow them to enter the next level of the orbit. And from the point of view of idea, and from the point of view of contracts, and from the point of view of projects, and from the point of view of some particular feeling of the world. So from this point of view, I think I would be very useful and good for this story, and that would be wonderful both for them and for me. This is something that is of greatest interest to me, and this is something that I'm ready to invest my time, my money, first of all, and my money as the simplest part in it.
And Sergey, so whose money do you have? Mine, particularly? So you invest your own money. Yes, yes, right. So especially that when you're talking about the danger that Alexander was talking about. Yes, I invest my own money. Yes, of course I have something that I work together with Gazprom Bank when we have kind of like a co-testing. But I think that Alexander is talking about, it relates more to venture industry for a company of earlier cycles and for those development institutions that we've been too much involved in. The beginning of 2000s, I think it's a bit of a residual effect of that story. I think the idea of venture investment that is more risky it doesn't match, it doesn't play well with our regulators. But can you tell us then that it's a fact now that the number of investors, individual investors, who are not professional investors in our country, this number is growing. It's a fact. There are more and more of them in the stock exchange. They put more money and bonds, and we as Positive, we issued more bonds, and we were surprised at how many people we have in our industry who actually know what to do. Well, actually, what you say is very interesting, and I would like to thank you. And Whitcomb, when he created this model of brokerage for individuals, he opened a huge part of this market, and now this market has to kind of self-generate, has to kind of get mature a little bit to make clever things. Right now, it's they're enjoying playing in public markets or in some exotic stories and in your obligations. And now you kind of need together, you kind of like chain it up, you kind of make it a mature market so that they can understand where they invest and what return they have and what they expect to have as a return, what timeline they have. So there should be some inventory of this story.
Right now we should have a director of Tinkoff Investments, and he's going to come. So if you have any proposals or questions, please write us. Maybe we'll ask him, and he's going to be in a direct stream in maybe Monday or Tuesday. Well, everybody's going to be speaking about this direction. They have opened this Pandora's box. This is an interesting observation because we have a lot of people who perhaps don't know about finances as much as it is needed to make any financial stories, investments based on deep financial analysis. But we have people who know about technologies, especially in the IT industry, and looking at different companies, they understand that they would invest into this company. So how can we promote this story? For example, we don't see IPO, and we don't have enough of physical entities. But we see more and more of them. How can we make those people's IPOs so that people who understand in some expert area would start earning money on this area and not financial speculations? Take money from those people, from Sasha, Sergey, and people believe in you. People believe in you. Take their money, invest them in the development of the industry. These people understand it. Our local IT guys. You have good connection with the state. What should be done so that state in a certain way would sell? Here's a big industry. Here's a market with billions, hundreds of millions and billions. Can you make a good product there? And the market will pay back to these development. I think that money is the final thing that I'm missing. But when you attract people who vote with their own money for what you do, you don't just get their money, you get this population of the IT people in the country who believe this. You know, I need their brains and not their money, first of all. Don't you need their loyalty? Loyalty is a good thing, but in order to do something cool, first of all, I need their brains. Okay, guys, they've made a product, and for the basis they took many years ago an element of the open source, and we took it and we have changed it, and it was an open source in the beginning. In 3 years it became our product. But all these years, these were a heritage of this open source. When you're catching up in some segments, you still go through the road with peculiarities and problems. And at this moment of time, how can we get this loyalty, public loyalty, that use these products when you cannot compete with Israeli products, for example? Well, they've spent 20 years for it, and they have billions, and you've started right now. You should make in years things that our colleagues in the Western world made in decades. You shouldn't play in somebody else's sandbox. Build your own sandbox. That's right. Build your own sandbox. And the second situation, if you see that you can improve something, if you understand that you're a technological player, then do something, go and sell it. And on this money, build something else. This is a game of... There are several games like there's a game of investors, how to properly invest money. I'm speaking about a private investor. Because I'm telling to the super rich, pull money into several funds and then see how their company is growing, pull money into this company, and what can you add and earn from this company, and you can earn much more. And then you will earn 70% of return. If one company flies somewhere, you have played this game. But from the point of view of the position of investor, you can use the brains, like Sergey says, of those who invested money into you to earn more money. Because collective knowledge or the accumulation of this knowledge is much higher and bigger, not speaking about the trust and connections and about everything else. So I think this is a complex game and a joint game which can bring to success. Colleagues, I understand that our time is running out and you have to go. So I have two final questions. Question number one. Can you tell us a couple of words about the future of this world of finances, investments, technologies from one side, and from the other side, having those viewers that are watching us right now, what is the message you have to them in the context of the industrial development and money earning? So speaking about the future in the end of 2020, it's a little intense, I think. Well, nevertheless. Well, this is a big question, and it's very hard to answer it. Yes, of course, there are technological waves we live in. We shouldn't explain them, and therefore, yes, there is an opportunity to play on them and achieve something. And due to the fact that we have different audiences, we have to try, we will make errors, but we still have to move forward. That's why investments have the same possibilities. But we should be ready for anything. This is the lesson of 2020. So I would like to wish you success to anybody. I have to connect to another call. My apologies. Yeah, we're saying goodbye to you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, and goodbye to you, Sergey. Maybe you will give us a message about it and your ideas about the future, irrespectively to the fact that we are in a very strange situation. Well, the world looks as a strange place. Nobody would forecast something like this. And this is a very big shock for all of us personally, because the world has changed significantly, and perception of people have changed, and markets have changed, and you know, this video that was shown while you've been sleeping on the side of the comedy club, it was really funny about it. When you're looking at this story through the prism of comedy, when they come to the moment of Black Lives Matter in America, you cannot stop laughing. I think that from one side, this turbulence gives us a lot of chances. It gives us a lot of chances where previously we thought that everything is so strong, it's socially oriented, that we have no other options but not being able to do anything from the business point of view and from the point of view of some private initiatives, or from the point of view of the financial investments. And from this point of view, it's interesting. This is a new reality, and I believe that we have to go with the wide open eyes. But the second thing, I really do hope that this turbulence will be for the good of Russia, because we see ourselves in the field of the empire of evil after the year 2014. Many countries consider us like that, and maybe this turbulence will take us away from this unique negative position. At least I really hope for this, and this will give us an opportunity to rebuild, to relaunch the international cooperation and Russia's place in this international cooperation, because we need it, and it's very important for high-tech industry, because our market is very small. And point number 3. I'm really confident that there is going to be a big shift in the area of everything related to biotech technology and security. In all meanings of this, both medical, informational, and others, because it has made acute differences between private and state, private and public, and there's a lot of things which are happening here. And first of all, from the point of view of understanding, of accepting those new rules of the game, which also will not be very stable. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. And a final thing, a couple of words about IPOs. We briefly have talked about it, but you accumulate fund structures. Do you have in your plans of bringing these structures to stock exchange market? Not yet, not now, not now. I am thinking that these should be good companies with good profits, with understandable dividend flow, with good opportunity of bringing money to shareholders. And from this point of view, their value will be understandable, tangible, and multipliers will be real and understandable. And this is the difficulty, because we all feel that, Sasha, and you will earn a lot of money on this. But maybe some other people also want to earn money. How can they earn together with you, with Sasha? How they can earn together with you? Come with good ideas. Idea, team. Absolutely, absolutely, especially if it's not just an idea, especially if this is a company which has achieved something and which already has something and which wants to grow faster and better and wants to reach the next level of the spiral. And this is something that I'm loving, and this is something that I understand very well. Okay, good. So, dear friends, those who have ideas, teams, and results, in the better case, please come to Sergey, and I hope that Sasha will open a Russian fund with Russian money. Maybe we'll do it together. Good idea. Thank you very much, Sergey. Okay, guys, I want to wish you health.